Hello, good. I'm welcoming all of you to study this with me. We are to investigate the events that are taking place in the Seventh Day Adventist Church. These are the plain utterances, Paroski. So, this is what Ted Wilson is saying. Just pay attention what he's saying. Ted Wilson is not going to use any quotation whatsoever or whatever it means or it takes with the Bible prophecy. He's not going to describe Seventh Day Adventist in their rightful position in prophecy. So if you are a General Conference member, just have a second thought. Are you accepted in the light of prophecy, or you are accepted in the ecumenical stage of the world? For yourself with the world.
Mental beliefs coming from the Word of God.
And again, he starts with the fundamental belief, creeds, not principles. So he's congratulating Frank for
the aspect of who Seventh-day Adventists are. For me, it's a joy to share with someone and say, first and foremost, He is our all in all. He is our righteousness, that we are saved. It is.
Did you even hear that? Is that a definition of who is a Seventh-day Adventist? Let's
share with someone and say, Seventh-day Adventists are people who put
that Seventh-day Adventists are those who preach Christ. That's a common phrase in the last days, when the judgment with the world. So Ted Wilson is blatantly telling you that you Seventh-day Adventists preach Christ, don't preach prophecies. Chapter 7 of Matthew.
Seventh-day Adventists are people who put Christ first and foremost. He is our all in all. He is our righteousness. It is only by His grace.
He's going into a definition of theological understanding or biblical doctrine for what it means. Come with me again as we're going to continue that video. We're going to see what Sister White is telling us. She is telling us this. Steal your heart. Satan will steal your heart away from God, and you slip unconsciously into work in Satan's lines. Into work in Satan's lines. Unconsciously, you'll slip unconsciously into work in Satan's lines without perceiving that. So let's continue and listen to that, saying that without perceiving that, you have changed leaders. Your leaders being changed, you will begin a work into the line slave. All right? You're going to be excluded or put under chains. Now, listen again. This comes from Volume 3, Selected Messages. Listen to what our brother leader is trying to come up with as the definition of who is a Seventh-day Adventist. Listen, my brothers.
So let me start.
For me, it's a joy. All in all, He is our righteousness. It is only by His grace that we are saved. It is by His justifying righteousness that we are saved. It is rock solid.
Let's listen again. Listen again.
The aspect of who Seventh-day Adventists are, for me, it's a joy.
Listen, he's answering the aspect, not a definition. It's just the question, but he's asking what the message Jesuit says it is black. You have to say it is black. So this is what we are seeing in our changed leaders. Our changed leaders is defining what is the Seventh-day Adventist to be. He is saying that Christ who was on the cross, but what is the Seventh-day Adventist? Anyone preaching Jesus. Now listen again.
First and foremost,
He
is our all in all. He is our righteousness. It is only by His grace that we are saved.
So anyone, WCC, the World Council of Churches, anyone in that meeting is a Seventh-day Adventist. That is the definition of General Conference of who is Seventh.
By His justifying righteousness that we Jesus. And so Adventists have Christ at the center of everything.
So he doesn't know the definition of who is a Seventh-day Adventist, and yet is the president of. Now let's listen to the prophet. What is prophecy? We are told that prophecy is one thing and we have to listen to it. It is one. Will it have anything to do? Neither will we have position. Listen to this, my brother. My brothers, I was astounded to listen to Jesus Christ. Okay? The righteousness of Jesus. Right? Blessed are they which are called into the marriage supper. Marriage supper. Marriage is to transpire after investigative judgment. It is God making a marriage for his son Jesus. The only two they believed in. We are going to see that. Now, in that marriage supper, there is an make it in a comment and place it as an urgent issue if you want to go through it. Now listen to this. He's saying, who have been sent by Jesus, and Jesus received because Jesus received a letter. People will come up and say these are false. So God has to place it clearly that they are the true sayings of God. And I fell at his feet to worship him, and he said unto me, see, fellow human beings, and this is very sad, that those who are worshiping, my friend, and it is so sad that Catholicism, where there is a sleeping down, there are nuns, these are nuns sleeping down in order to worship. This is an adoration position. This is a position of, now look at this. This is what is transpiring in Roman Catholic at this point. They are sleeping prostrate in order to is to be copy-pasted in every religion, wrapped every religion, a religion that will not protest to a kingdom that was a sinful spirit of prophecy. Okay? Before that, we are going to see what is the spirit of prophecy. We are going to see what is the spirit of prophecy. Now, supper of the Lamb. It is supper, it's the evening when now you have seen what is the physical means. It is lying down before they change the leaders who you have not challenged and asked, challenging fundamental principle. They have changed the doctrine and they have changed the definition. Who is the believers who have been sent to cover the believers? So he says, I'm of thy brethren that have the testimony of Jesus. So they also speak the truth. That is the statement. We should worship God according to this word. If to this law and to the testimony. Law, it is the 10 commandments. Don't confuse yourself, because the 10 commandments is the scriptures as their safeguard. Now, let us see what we should believe to be Seventh Adventist, because we have the Bible. For it is plain for its work, the prince of evil. He is now doing what? Last great delusion is soon to open before us. This last great delusion is to open. How does it open? Except by the Holy Scriptures. Seventh Adventist. In the church of God, the truth will walk side by side. Where counterfeit has entered secretly. Counterfeit comes in, and some of us are asleep. Look at that. Now, Seventh Adventist will be speaking statement, the results of being teachers of false statement. Look at the results of youth, then the upcoming, all right, of these. Look at this. Look at this. Look at that. Look at that. Positive, but BB. All right. Again, we are going to see a voice that should speak of religious freedom. Now, religious freedom was a doctrine where, when this power, we are going to see that in our next presentation, what Protestantism taught their children. Worship a man, because commandment number 4 orders you to worship one who created heaven and earth on the 7th day. Happy Sabbath, my friends. Exposing our friend Ted Wilson, because he's our president. Now, if he's our president, Spirit of Prophecy is telling us, as we are maintaining the godly jealousy over our religion, over the truth that God part of our
to follow that ministry. One of my favorite passages is in Matthew chapter 9, at the end of the chapter. And it says, Jesus went about.
Do you think this is a goodwill movement? This is a goodwill leadership. Do you think this leadership wants something good for you? Continue.
People are there. So he went to the cities and the villages, so he didn't leave out the rural areas, but
If they change the foundation, what should the Russians do?
taught, he preached, he healed. So these are the ways in which to
Spirit of prophecy has just told us our messages. Okay? And here we are seeing a president who has been, the Adventists have been set in the world as watchmen and light bearers. Are watchmen supposed to go to the Antichrist? The papacy of the city, not just traveling. It is a warning bidden to go to that supper. What do they say? You see, the work of Seventh Day Adventist is to do the proclamation of the first, second, and third angels' solemn message. Our work is to give the first, second, and the third angels' messages. That is the third. That is the definition of the seventh day. Look again. We are to go step by step, and they want to go from city to city. Look at that. The papacy is well adapted to meet the wants of all these who want to go from city to city without a message. Must pray and fast so that they may be able to give these messages. If you don't pray and fast, then you will. They change the fundamental principles and introduce another God. And then they teach people to preach that. Look at grasping its neck. The logo, this is a logo for WCC. It's a logo of WCC, World Churches of Council, Council of Churches, WCC, World Councils of Churches. It is compiled from PAL. PAL is from this statement on top over there. Public affairs and rounded at what is happening now. We are seeing with our own eyes what has transpired in the beloved Church of God, a church that was Christian churches and religious organization. Working policy number 075. What is this working policy like? We are told it is concluding to say, number one, we are going to see that number one. That was the point of it all. Not number two, number one. We recognize those. Or the daughters of Babylon, or we recognize them as friends and sisters. Again, let's see. We recognize that the book of Revelation, which is the letter of God to Jesus, is false. It's not a true saying. Why can't we believe them? Because they are standing in purposes. It is for educative purposes. The agreement and deals that have been made in these religious organizations. Mr. White times, was there papacy? Or the papacy was nowhere to be seen? Why did our leaders go to, did our leaders in Europe? Watch our next video. You'll see wonderful things. What transpired in Europe, what transpired in Australia, in Germany, what took place. It is who believe in the message. It is time.
righteousness that we become more and more like him. Therefore, it's really important to get to know Jesus. And
a foundation from which every other doctrine is to be derived. That is the principle. Now, belief is a written out article by certain men who are persuaded to what is truth. Look at that. Look at that. Now
every
listen.
single one of those beliefs has Christ at the center of those beliefs. It's not some legalistic formula.
Listen to that the Spirit has entered someone. Is that those things? What does Jesus Christ says in John 17:17? Sanctifying, to make someone gentle. 663. The word that we are coming to this conclusive point to bring. Now we are entering into a season where the messages Ted Wilson is giving are the fine, educative doctrines that were long forgotten. Attentive. Thank you so much.